Welcome to Every Browns Game, the podcast where two goofballs unpack the complicated history of Cleveland football. I'm Eli.
And I'm Ava.
Oh, Ava's feeling a little crazy.
A little cookie today.
He's a little out there today. She's a little different.
I'm really excited.
Something's a little different with you. Well, I'm excited too because it's been a little bit. We posted our first episode 3 weeks ago as of recording this, and we're back.
It's over a fortnight.
That is over a fortnight. We were talking about a fortnights last night for some reason.
A fortnight is 2 Januaries. I mean, a February. A fortnight is 1 February.
That's not true. Wait, a fortnight? No, a fortnight's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
February is longer than that.
Well, then I didn't say it. Take it up with who said it. It wasn't me.
No, I think we were. That's why we were talking about it, because we were getting confused on how long a fortnight actually was.
You don't even know.
It's 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is. It is 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You don't need to look that up. I know.
And you know that, too. So I don't know why we're...
I know that. I digress.
I don't know why this is even a conversation. But anyway, if we keep recording episodes at this pace, it'll probably take us a while. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we need to go faster, or I don't know if we need to have more patience, or I don't know if we need to start skipping games, and I don't know if we need help. I don't know what we need. It's been too long. We've been busy, but it's okay, because we're back.
But we're here. Yeah.
Yeah, we showed up and we made it happen. So this is episode 2 of Every Browns Game. Last time we did the first Browns game, and this time we're doing the second Browns game. But before we get to the second Browns game, we are going to talk about the IRL Browns. And actually some things have been happening with the IRL Browns since the last time we recorded.
Really?
Yeah, some things have been happening. So the last episode we recorded, I think, was while the playoffs were still going on. It was pre-Super Bowl. The Browns were eliminated like long before that, and so they had kind of, they weren't really doing too much, not really a whole lot happening. But as far as the IRL Browns go, now that the offseason is in full swing, the draft is coming up. They have the second overall pick in the draft, and so there's been a lot of speculation on who they might take with that pick, if they might trade back, what direction they want to go, because they kind of need help everywhere, and it's a situation where they're kind of teetering on the edge of, okay, so the whole quarterback situation is kind of a mess. Do we want to try to take it in the same direction we were going, which is like committing to contending and trying to compete? Or do we want to tear the whole entire thing down and rebuild? And
tear it down. Tear it down.
You think they should tear it down?
I mean, are they?
They're not entirely sure. I mean, well, no, that's not true. The things that reporters have been hearing indicate that they want to keep trying to compete. They want to reload at quarterback, and they want to try to make another run at it. They believe that they are a good quarterback away from contending, which honestly, I don't think they're wrong about that.
Okay, all right.
I think a good quarterback can make a bad team look average, and a bad quarterback can make a good team look dog shit. So that's kind of what Deshaun Watson...
That's actually what's on my tea bag tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
You, read it verbatim.
I actually wrote that teabag. That's the only one they let me write before they fired me. They're like, what is this guy talking about? But something that it could potentially affect that decision-making is their best player, and possibly the best player that's ever played for the Browns since they came back in 1999, Myles Garrett, has publicly declared that he wants to be traded. Now, for people who follow the Browns, this is old news. This has been going on for weeks. Myles Garrett wants to go to a team that he believes can contend. The Browns still believe that they can contend, and so they have no intention of trading him, and they're trying to essentially prove to him through their off-season moves that they're still serious about competing for championships, and they want him to stay and be a part of that. So a lot going on. We probably won't have the resolution to that whole situation until the summer starts, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I guess you can really... The trade could happen at any point, but it doesn't appear that they want to trade him, so they'll probably drag it out on both ends. I think that they want him to stay and believe in what they're doing, and so if they go out and they sign a quarterback that he's intrigued by, or they draft a quarterback that he's intrigued by, he would probably maybe change his tune a little bit. I don't know. He seems like he's pretty set in his decision to leave, but I think that's what they're hoping is going to happen.
Gotcha.
So.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Tumultuous era, but exciting era.
Yeah, being a Browns fan my whole life, being a Browns fan born in the late 90s my whole life, the off-season is the most exciting time to be a Browns fan because you don't actually have to watch any of the games. you can just envision what the games would look like in your head if everything works out, which it never does. So that's always a lot more comforting than turning on CBS or Fox on Sunday and watching your favorite team lose. Anyway, but back to a much more glorious era of the Cleveland Browns. 1946, the story of the season so far, the 1946 season in the All-America Football Conference for the Cleveland Browns. They're 1-0. They dominated the Miami Seahawks at home last week. They have 1 win, and they have 0 losses. Ava, thoughts?
Wow.
All right. So now on to the next game. I don't know if we even, do you even remember anything about that first game? I honestly kind of don't. We talked about so much stuff.
No, yeah, that was a pretty long episode, I'll be completely honest.
Yeah, we're trying to maybe shoot for brevity with this one.
Yeah. So let's get into it. You tell me, so you're the expert in this situation because I know next to nothing, and you're going to tell me all about this game. You have a graphic pulled up on your computer, and it looks like uniforms. Is that relevant to what we're talking about?
Yes, it is. So it's relevant because these are the uniforms of the Chicago Rockets, who are the opponent for the game we're going to be discussing today. It took place on Friday, September 13th, 1940. It took place on Friday, September 13th, 1946, in Chicago at Soldier Field. Soldier Field is where the Bears actually still play today, which is kind of cool. It's one of the oldest stadiums in the NFL and all of American professional sports, actually. Yeah, they're working on a new one, though. We still need to see how that'll play out. But yeah, these are the Chicago Rockets uniforms. So they wore, just to kind of describe it for the listeners.
There's a lot.
Well, yeah, but they had different combinations. So they actually had 2 helmets. They had a white helmet with a red stripe and a red helmet with a yellow stripe. And they had 2 jerseys. They had a red jersey with gold numbers and a white jersey with red trim and red numbers with a gold outline. And then red pants and white pants and red and white socks.
Can you see it?
Do you want me to keep going?
Can you guys see it?
Do you want me to keep going? Can you picture it? The shoes are black, by the way. So yeah, their color, just to give you an idea, I can't find a logo for the Chicago Rockets anywhere. And honestly, maybe they didn't have one. I don't think that team logos were as prevalent of a thing. They had mascots and such, but maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm totally talking out of my ass here. Let me see. Let me see if I can find this in 2 seconds. No, yeah, they kind of did. Okay, so, yeah, they did have a logo. It's this angry-looking rocket guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see this?
Is that a mascot or a logo?
This is a logo.
Do they have
both?
Mascots?
Yeah, I don't know, actually. Maybe did they have somebody in, a little bottle rocket costume, walking around?
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
That is so interesting. He's
quite frankly, really bad.
I like it.
Really?
Yeah, it's very cool. I wish that we had more. He's like a pink rocket with orange muscular arms holding a football in the crook of his left arm, and he's lighting his own match.
That seems like a bad idea.
He's lighting his own. He's very angry, and then he also has neon, highlighter yellow pants on, just past his knees, and then white socks, black shoes, and his legs are also pink, so I guess he's a pink and orange rocket man.
Yeah, if this was really the Chicago Rockets logo, it looks like a create a team logo from Madden, and not in a good way. It looks like he's wearing anchor arms from SpongeBob.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, because
he has these arms that don't match his body, but they're really buff. So
I think that's where they got the idea. Someone was a huge
Chicago Rockets fan.
They're like, I know where we can put this.
Well, if you had never heard of the Chicago Rockets, same here, because they only existed from 1946 to 1949. Some of the AAFC teams joined the NFL after the 1949 season. The Chicago Rockets didn't, and it probably had something to do with the fact that they were the 3rd pro football team in Chicago. The 3rd pro football team. Think about how absurd that sounds in 2025.
Is that bad or good?
It's just a lot. It's just a lot. Because Chicago already had 2 teams that were pretty well established by that point. They had the Bears.
Oh, not They had them all at the same time?
They had them all at the same time.
Oh,
yeah, they had
why?
3 professional
Why do you
teams
need
going at
that?
the same
That's
time.
Confusing for people.
Just from like a business perspective, who is going to be a fan of a new team when there are already 2 teams that exist in the same sport that play in a more popular league that, people already cheer for? And the owner of the Chicago Rockets, whose name was Jack Keeshan, knew that. And so he kind of went hard on the publicity before the 1946 season. He tried to sign Sid Luckman, George McAfee, and Hugh Gallarno. Hugh Gallarno? I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying that right. Which, to anybody listening now, they'll be like, okay, who are those people? But in 1946, you would have been like, what? What the fuck is this guy? Because those were like the 3 best players on the Bears at the time. So he like literally went to the Bears players and he was like, hey, come play for me. I'll pay you all this money. It didn't work. He didn't end up signing any of those guys.
Aww.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of admire him for trying.
Did he get like in trouble? Did he get like a whomp on the head for trying to poach?
I don't really know. I don't think he got in trouble. I'm sure that George Halas didn't appreciate it.
He shook a finger in his face.
But I don't think the players were ever really interested in leaving the Bears, as far as I know. If you are listening and you know more about that situation, let me know, because it's kind of interesting. I couldn't find very much more on it. But yeah, they were the 3rd professional football team in Chicago after the Bears and the Cardinals, who are now in Arizona after moving to St. Louis. So Chicago at one point had 3 pro football teams. Turned out that there was only really room for 1, and the Bears are still there. But at the time, the first Chicago Rockets game ever, the game that we're talking about today, drew a crowd of 51,962 people, which was a pro football record in Chicago at the time. More than the Bears.
Wow.
So they actually, even though they didn't really end very ceremoniously, they still drew more people than the Bears to their first game. So that was something. And maybe how the game went, maybe it affected future turnouts for Chicago Rockets games, because they drew less than half of the people that came to the first game for the second game.
That sounds about right. Like, I can imagine if we all of a sudden had like an extra team pop up, I feel like the curiosity would draw a lot of people. Like, yeah, you want to see what they got. You want to see what's going on. Right.
And there was a lot of hype surrounding this team. The Browns were actually 10-point underdogs in the game going in, according to the Plain Dealer that I found from 1946. Okay. So not only did people want to go pay to see the Rockets in Chicago, which was already a very oversaturated pro football market, they expected them to win. And the Browns were good. I mean, the Browns beat the Seahawks, what was it, like 45-0 or something like that the week before? Mm-hmm. So
yeah, they
must have been really high on these Rockets. Unfortunately, didn't go super well for the Chicago Rockets today.
Was that a pun?
Did I say really high? Oh, like you fly really high.
Were you just trying to make... Oh, that wasn't it.
That just kind of popped out. That's pretty good, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was good.
Anyway. So the final score of this game, the Browns won 20-6. And it wasn't particularly close. The Browns were up...
Sorry, Rockets.
Yeah. It didn't go so great for the Rockets that day. The Browns were up 20-0 heading into the fourth quarter. A touchdown by the Rockets at the very beginning of the fourth quarter made it 20-6, and that was the final. The impact of the game on the season, the Browns are now 2-0 with 2... I wrote down relatively easy wins. I say relatively because this game was a little bit tougher than the Seahawks game. The Seahawks game, they kind of rolled, and this one they had to grind it out a little bit. We'll get into that here in a minute. But they started off 2-0. Good start for the Brownies. Ava, any thoughts before we move on?
That's just got to feel good. I just can't really reconcile the fact that this is the same team that we... I mean, it's not that, the people on the team change, but the Browns is the team
it's literally
that we have today, and at a time, you were happy to be a Browns fan.
Oh, you were very happy to be a Browns fan in 1946. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you were pumped.
And I just feel really bad for you right now.
Thanks. I love hearing that. Anyway.
Those are my thoughts. Go Browns!
This podcast should be called The History of the Baltimore Ravens or something like really, really like self-loathing like that. Just like total Cleveland, we suck mentality.
We're going to rename.
But yeah, it is every Browns game, and this was a Browns game, so we're moving on. So the players, heroes and zeros. We have some good nicknames today for heroes and zeros. We'll get to that in a minute. The biggest hero of the game, Mr. Marion Motley, the legend himself. Marion Motley was the main character of this game. We should call him main character Marion Motley. He had 12 carries for 122 yards. That's just over 10 yards per carry, which is insane. He got a first down every time he touched the ball.
Really?
Essentially, yeah.
Wow.
Essentially. And a touchdown. I think he had a 20-yard touchdown. And he also had one reception for 13 yards. Edgar Special Delivery Jones for the Browns had 5 rush. I didn't expect you to. It's not that funny.
That's just so many.
Edgar Special Delivery Jones.
So many things are happening in that name.
Had 5 carries for 64 yards, which is, again, insane. And in 1 catch for 6. Then Don Greenwood, on top of that, added 6 for 47 and a 41-yard touchdown and 2 catches for 4 yards. So the Browns kind of just ran over the Chicago Rockets that day. It was a really, really big day for their ground game. They really relied on the rushing attack. Otto Graham didn't really do anything spectacular that day, but he didn't really need to. Otto Graham and Cliff Lewis, the Browns played 2 quarterbacks again in this game. Otto was only 5 for 7 for 25 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. He just kind of kept handing it off. And Marion Motley and Edgar Special Delivery Jones and Don Greenwood.
He delivered.
We're like, we got you. Yeah, Edgar definitely delivered. He delivered 64 yards. That's not bad. On top of that, we have a lot of heroes this game. Lou fucking Groza, baby. He's back.
Lou fucking Groza, baby!
Lou Groza had, on his way to becoming the Browns' all-time leading scorer, he had 8 points today by himself. He had 2 field goals and 2 extra points for a total of 8. Not too bad. It's unclear whether he used the tape.
The infamous tape.
They didn't really talk about the tape in the newspaper, and that's kind of the only, news source I'm really relying on, because what else can I mean, maybe I could look up, old radio broadcasts or something, but, maybe those are hard to find.
They might not mention it more than once. I mean, maybe it was just, a fun thing they wanted everyone to know about.
Yeah, maybe everybody saw the tape, and they were like, yeah, this is normal, this is what Lou does.
Yeah, if you didn't listen to the previous episode, our first episode, Lou Groza used tape to mark out the field where he
used it to aim.
Yeah, I don't even know how to describe it because it really doesn't make sense. He carried a roll of tape with him that was specifically the amount of tape he needed, but it was tape. So
but it was tape.
I don't understand. I can't even visualize where did it go.
Maybe it went. Maybe he had a back pocket or something in his pants that was sewn on or something like that. Because I'm pretty sure football pants don't have pockets in them. At least not the ones that I've been.
Maybe he just had it stuck to it. Maybe it was a fresh piece every game.
Yeah, maybe he just stuck it to his pants and he just peeled it off. Yeah. And then he matted it back on after he was done with a bunch of grass and shit on it. I don't know, but he probably did use the tape. He probably didn't just use it for one game and then totally abandoned the tape method. So yeah, Lou Groza, 2 field goals. They were from 21 and 37 yards out, which I feel 37 in 1946 was pretty far, but nothing super crazy impressive, but just solid, just reliable. Just old reliable Lou.
Yeah. That's great.
Reliable Lou. That's who he was. In the defense, the last years, they 4 different defenders picked off 4 passes. That was Tom Colella, Lou Saban, Bob Stuber, and Ray Terrell. Each had an interception. Bob took his 52 yards. And that was probably one of the biggest reasons that Chicago didn't have more than 6 points. They actually picked off 2, according to the Plain Dealer at the time, when Chicago was a threat to score. Which is important because that, takes points off the board, has the ball going the other way, hand it off to Marion Motley. Easy game. Easy life.
Yeah.
So, a lot of heroes for the Browns this game. Some of the zeros, as you can imagine, played for the other team, the Chicago Rockets. You got Bob Hunchy Hornschmeyer.
Good old Hunchy Hornschmeyer.
Hunchy Hornschmeyer. Do you think that's how you say his last name, Hornschmeyer? Hornschmeyer?
Hornschmeyer?
You think it's Hornschmeyer or Hornschmeyer? It's got to be one of those.
I think it's Hornschmeyer.
Okay, we'll go with that. Bob Hunchy Hunchmeyer. Bob Hunchy Hornschmeyer. Bob Hornchy Hunchmeyer.
Stop saying it.
Okay, sorry. It's just fun to say. He was only one, so that was the quarterback for the Rockets. He was only 1 for 8 passing for 13 yards. The Rockets also had Walt Clay at quarterback. He did a little bit better. He went 4 for 10 for 62, but he threw 3 picks. At least Hunchy didn't throw one. But he only completed one. So is that really any better? Then you have Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch,
Yeah.
who was contained for -1 yard on 9 rushing attempts. His legs weren't so crazy that day. He
didn't really live up to his nickname.
No, his legs, they stopped his legs. They said, you can't be crazy today. I don't know how to make that funny.
He just didn't do good, okay? He just
Anyway,
didn't do good. He was a 0.
Hunchy
today.
and Crazy Legs. Maybe that was like a marketing gimmick at the time. That's how they got so many people into the stadium. They were like, we have this guy, we call him Crazy Legs. And he's like a normal, like
Yeah,
he's like
some
an
of these
average to bad
nicknames.
running back.
Like why one of the things that I did for today was I tried to find out why we call someone their particular nickname. And I think that you might be onto something, because like I couldn't find a single thing. Like they might just pick a thing. They might just one day you're Crazy Legs and you just can't shake that crazy leg off.
I mean, if you play football professionally, you got to be good. Elroy was good. You gotta be good. Yeah, I know. Like what a take, right? You gotta have been good. You gotta have been good at some point in your life at football. Thank you. You gotta have been good at some point in your life at football. Elroy was probably like insane in high school. He was probably insane in college. Maybe we'll Google him after this, but I'm looking at his Pro Football Reference, and he had a really nice career in the NFL. After his 3 years with the Rockets, he played for the Rams for 9 years. So he had 3 years with the Rockets, 9 years with the Rams. 12-year career in the NFL. He had, almost 1,500 scrimmage yards in 1951. That's not too bad. He averaged 124 yards per game. Okay, Crazy Legs was good, actually. He was a first-team All-Pro in 1951 and 1953. Sorry for shit-talking Crazy Legs. I wasn't familiar with his game. But, I mean, maybe it just goes to show how good that Browns defense was in 46. He was contained. And, I mean, that was his rookie year, so he probably got a little bit better as time went on. They didn't even let him gain a yard. He lost one, didn't gain any. Poor Crazy Legs.
I just want to show you this real quick.
Oh, Ava's showing me a poster of Crazy Legs right now.
I found Crazy Legs.
Oh, that's a movie poster.
Yeah, what is this?
The Sweethearts of the Campus. The Sweethearts of the Campus. Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch.
Oh, Crazy Legs.
Oh, Crazy Legs. Your legs are so crazy. You have the craziest legs I've ever seen in a man.
If you Google this man, Elroy Hirsch, I mean, I don't know what's crazy about his legs, but he's in this one pose in every photo. He kind of looks like a football cupid.
What do you mean?
Well, he's got his legs, like one leg is bent and out in front of him and the other leg is like straight out, and he's like, his arms are like, oh.
That's kind of like a Heisman. Can I see it?
You know what I'm talking about?
It's kind of like a Heisman pose, but the legs are a bit crazier.
Is that crazy?
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
I mean, that is impressive.
Could you do that?
If I wanted to.
I don't think I could do that. He kind of had to take those photos, like, in, he had to jump a little bit, and they had to, like, snap him in motion in order to...
I mean, that's a solid shot.
That is a solid shot.
That's a pretty cool photo.
He looks good. Lie. He's got some thighs on him.
Yeah.
How big was this boy? Let's find out.
He
was 6'2", 190. Not bad.
All
kind
right.
of tall for a running back. Also, Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch is in the Hall of Fame. I feel really dumb right now. I'm supposed to be the one who knows ball. I don't know ball. Certified ball not knower.
We're supposed to do research before we do this, but we're trying to keep it cash, okay? We're trying to keep this.
We're trying to keep it light. I don't know who Crazy Legs Hirsch is. I'm not 80. Listen, I'm a Zoomer. I got Zoomer brain. I can't focus on doing research for this podcast for more than 45 minutes.
Well, here's to Crazy Legs.
I'm not built like that.
Maybe a 0 for this game, but winning the game of life.
This was his first professional pro football game.
You can't win
he was a star at Wisconsin. He was a star at Michigan. And he was a star for the Rams, and he made the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So he was pretty good. Let's see the nickname. He had an unusual running style in which his legs twisted as he ran. Okay.
Word.
Yeah. After watching him play in a 1942 game Francis J. Powers of Chicago Daily News wrote, "His crazy legs were gyrating in 6 different directions, all at the same time. He looked like a demented duck."
But he got in the Hall of Fame, though.
This is a Hall of Fame running back. If you run like a demented duck
no.
and still
Poor
make the
guy.
Hall of Fame,
Well,
you must really know what you're doing.
it's an honor.
Good looking guy, though. That's the best looking demented duck I've ever seen.
A true sweetheart.
Seriously. Oh, wow. Look at this. This is like his headshot. He's like a Hollywood
Wish
guy.
that you guys could see this.
Look at that chin. Just Google Crazy Legs Hirsch. He'll come up. He's got a chin on him.
He does. He
Damn.
literally looks like a superhero.
Kinda, yeah. Like he looks like the platonic, like, 50s white America ideal of like what an athlete should look like. Like it's kind of crazy. This one he actually kind of looks like Zach Woods a little bit in this football card.
He does. Zach Woods, if you are out there, please, we need you to do a photo as Crazy Legs, Elroy Hirsch.
I don't think we really need that.
No, we need it.
Need is kind of a strong word.
He needs his face there.
I mean, his face already is there. Look at it.
It's true.
It's literally his face. Anyway, so that's more on Crazy Legs Hirsch than you maybe wanted to know. But Crazy Legs Hirsch didn't have such a good game today, unfortunately. Maybe he'll have a better performance. The Browns played the Rockets twice this season, so maybe Crazy Legs will do a little bit more in that game. Legends in the making from this game. Marion Motley. Motley kind of cemented himself with this game. This was the game. He had a pretty good first game. This was the game where he really burst onto the scene and people really took notice of him. People really started to take notice of him.
You can do it.
I'm good at this. People really started to take notice of him. He actually was the backup going into this game. He didn't start, but Paul Brown put him in, and the rest is history, literally. Motley and Bill Willis broke the color barrier last game, Pro Football color barrier. This game was the first one where the racism on the field actually started to get really bad. Verbal and physical abuse. We don't know what the physical abuse entailed exactly, or
from
at
other
least
players. Or?
Yeah, from players on the opposing team. Maybe some extra hits. Maybe some dirty stuff going on the field. Eye poking, hair pulling, scratching, biting.
Don't you get like
clawing
flagged for that shit now?
Yeah, no, totally. You totally do.
But back then you didn't?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they did.
Long pause.
I genuinely have no idea. I mean, if not, I mean, maybe you probably should have gotten fined for racism. I don't know. Fines for racism seems like a pretty good idea. But yeah, apparently there was a lot of extracurricular stuff going on the field, specifically at Motley and Bill Willis. But that legendary Motley quote that I mentioned last episode was actually from after this game. The racism stopped once they realized that Motley and Willis were just better, and they couldn't keep up with them, which is honestly kind of sick. You're going to call me slurs? You're going to hate crime me on the football field? I'll just run you over.
Real quick, sorry, I was silent for a minute because I was looking up something related to what we were just talking about. So I was trying to figure out when they started using flags in football.
Mm-hmm.
My super duper quick Google search here said that the first time the NFL used flags was on September 17th in 1948. So this game happened prior?
Prior. Yeah, this was 46. But,
okay.
I mean, there were still penalties.
That's
right?
true, but wouldn't that be like a flag? I don't know. I don't know either what they do.
I genuinely don't know. I guess I just didn't picture football without penalty flags. Maybe they didn't have referees. Maybe they didn't have anything. Maybe they didn't have lines on the field. I mean, I don't know anything about this.
They needed tape.
I wasn't there. That might be a thing to get into for future episodes.
Yeah,
like, what is the history of penalties in football?
I'm going to have to look into that. Because I'm sure that this is not the first case of racism on the field.
No.
I'm just wondering, my curiosity was like, how overlooked was this intentionally?
But Ava, maybe it was, because they were the first 2 black players in professional football. So maybe it actually was. You know, the other guys weren't used to playing with people of a different race. And so when they did, they kind of let it fly a little bit. And then they got smacked in the mouth by Lou Rimkus, who Wikipedia mentions specifically retaliated against the racist Rockets by throwing cheap shots on him on the field. So, shout out to Lou Rimkus.
Oh, yeah, Lou.
Legendary Lou Rimkus.
That's his nickname now.
No, it kind of seems like, obviously they're teammates, so they need to back each other up. But it seems like the Browns weren't having any of it. And they kind of took it out on the racist guys in the other team, which is great.
And then they won.
Love to hear that. Yeah, and then they won. That Motley quote, by the way, that quote from Marion Motley, which I can find here in like 2 seconds. If you missed the first episode or if you don't remember it, they found out while they were calling us one thing and another thing. I was running for touchdowns and Willis was knocking the shit out of them. So they stopped calling us names and started trying to catch up with us, which is so cold.
It's so great.
So they stopped calling us names. And they started trying to focus on maybe not getting their asses beat. So that was that portion of the game. Just worth mentioning. Don't really want to focus on racism as much as we did in the last episode, maybe. Trying not to make this a podcast about, that.
It's not about that, but it is involved. There are some things. I mean, we're in the 40s.
It's not about that, but it is about that. I mean, Motley and Bill Willis, they were like the first 2 black professional football players ever, which is something really special that they did.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's cool that, like, at least, they're both, I mean, Bill Willis was a great player. They are remembered for that, but they're also not remembered for that at the same time. They're remembered for being great players, which is nice. Anyway, now it's time for a little segment we like to call, Ava, I think you did some research on this.
Oh, I did.
So, Ava's preparing your research.
Okay, I'm getting my research.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Rockets in the 40s.
Yes, Rockets in the 40s.
What do we know?
Well,
and let me, hang on, because I know you've been introduced to this concept of why we're even talking about this. I was just thinking, like, Chicago named, or, what was his name? Jack something? I don't even know if he named it, but Jack Keeshan, his team was called the Rockets. It was 1946, and his team was called the Chicago Rockets. In 1946, we hadn't been to the moon. We had maybe been to outer space, potentially. I think the space race was just kind of heating up at that point, if, like, my understanding of history is correct. Obviously, Ava's going to tell me whether I'm right or wrong here in a second. But I just kind of wanted to know, like, what our relationship was with rockets. Like, did we see him as this, like, far-off futuristic thing? Did we see him as something that was, like, among us at the time in our society, like, being developed? Did we see them as fireworks? Did we see them as a little anthropomorphic rocket with orange arms, lighting his own fuse, holding a football? What was our idea of rockets at the time? So, Ava, please continue.
Okay, so the concept of a rocket, I feel like was still very futuristic and new and exciting. Obviously, the concept of a rocket existed because rockets, in a sense, did exist. But I think, like, generally, it seems like if you Google, like, pictures of rockets, like, there's just like a newness about them, right? Like, kind of not dystopian, but like a futuristic sense of a rocket,
right?
But the space race, I don't think started until like the mid to late 50s. So I was way off. I'm sure politically things obviously led up to the space race, and so, like, if we're in 46, things are happening. And I'm sure there's, like, rocket talk.
There's rocket talk.
Yeah. We need a button. Rocket talk. So there was that.
Yeah. Like at the dinner table.
Yeah. I'm picturing, like,
rocket talk.
A tiny child eating his peas and carrots. Like, man, I just want some rocket talk. This adult stuff is boring. Eat your ham, Jimmy.
I would have eat your ham.
So, anyway, the space race hadn't happened yet. However, the one thing I did find about this particular year, so in 1946, we had the first V-2 rocket launch. Do not ask me what a V-2 rocket is, because I don't know. The first successful V-2 rocket launch in the U.S. took place at White Sands Missile Range in 1946.
Oh, okay. Where is that?
Yeah. I don't know. Was I supposed to follow the thread?
Oh, no, I was just curious. You weren't supposed to do anything besides to find out what you needed to find out.
It is a military base in New Mexico.
Oh, okay, cool. So we did have rockets in 1946.
Yes.
They were invented.
Yes, they did exist.
I feel like I really hope she isn't listening to this. I feel like the time when my sister thought that cameras weren't invented in the 80s. I kind of feel like that now. Like, I don't know what was and wasn't around.
That was really great. I'm gonna be honest. I really loved that because until you guys said anything, I was like, "Oh yeah, crazy." Like, I wasn't really thinking about it either. And then I was like, "Oh, duh, of course." Should we explain what? I don't think we.
No, I don't think we need to go. There's enough. I already put enough details out there. Sorry. Anyway,
it's so good.
So yeah, rockets in the 40s were around. Anything else on that particular topic?
No, that's all I got for rockets.
Okay, cool. So we did have rockets. They were, something that was in the ether. They were out there. People knew what they were.
They were new and exciting, so I can see the appeal.
Yeah.
Like why you would want to name your team.
Naming a team the Rockets.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Nowadays we have the Rockets, the basketball Rockets of Houston, which makes sense because Houston is where NASA does some stuff.
Yeah.
So that's more of like a location. Chicago, I don't really think was a big rocket town. I think, Rockets. It's a cool name. It's a cool word, really.
Right.
Yeah. I just realized something. Do you think Rockettes, like the Radio City Rockettes, is that like a female version of rocket?
Oh.
Like in a feminized version of the word rocket?
I don't know. Okay, let me see. Where do they get their name?
I just realized I'm doing a lot less typing ASMR in this.
Yeah, you should be finding it. I like that.
In this episode. No, I know that you liked it, but I'm not sure if everybody did, and I don't want to... I mean, I don't know. If you enjoyed the typing ASMR, let us know, and I'll be sure to do more of it in the background next time. I just, maybe prepared a little bit better for this episode and, pulled up a bunch of tabs so I didn't have to go searching for things. But if you want me to type more, let me know. I'm happy to accommodate however you prefer me to pod, so...
Well, I can't find any information in my quick search here, so I got nothing for you about the Rockettes, but that's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, just a thought. Just a thing I thought I'd throw out there as an interesting little little thought experiment. Okay, so moving on.
Yeah. I got more. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, I was also tasked with finding out what does the last name Hornschemeier mean?
Right, and that's Hunchy.
Yeah.
Just for those of you following along at home, that's Hunchy.
What did I say? Hornschemeier?
Hunchy Hornschmeier.
Hunchy Hornschmeier. Okay, so oh boy, I tried to find some things. So the original meaning of Meyer, the last part of his name, this comes from Middle High German, or just generally, it's a German last name. The whole name is pretty German, actually. So that's where we're at, geographically speaking. And Meyer could be used to signify the manager of a lord's country estate or a headman of a household. So Meyer is similar. This is according to Wikipedia, by the way. Meyer is similar to the English surname Stewart, which also became the surname Stewart. So Meyer is someone who kind of, you manage the things in a household.
The lord of the manor.
Yes. And there are a couple different spellings, and I thought it was interesting because I was like, oh, one of my, I think it was my middle school principal, I believe. His last name was Niedermeyer.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that name.
Yeah.
Before?
It's a common German surname.
Yeah. What does Nieder mean, though?
Well, I'm glad that you asked. I have it in here in my notes somewhere. I think that Nieder means... Where did I put it in my notes? I didn't organize it very well. Maybe I didn't put it in here, but I'm pretty sure Nieder means, south or, under. And so it's if you're Niedermeyer, you are potentially a farmer who has a farm lower than your neighboring farms.
Oh, in terms of elevation?
Maybe.
You mean?
Yeah, maybe. I was thinking like north and south, but that doesn't make sense because that's not how. Yeah. Yeah. If you like are kind of at the bottom of the hill, that makes more sense.
Right. Oh, okay.
So
okay,
you're the
gotcha. So your neighbor has
you're
a friend.
the lower farmer.
Yeah. So your neighbor has a friend on top of the hill. Or neighbor. I can't talk today. Neighbor has a farm on top of the hill.
Uh-huh.
You have a farm on the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
You're the Niedermeyer if you're. That feels like a really, really horrible thing to call someone. That just didn't feel good coming out of my mouth.
No, it's just
you're a Niedermeyer.
It's just how you. And so okay, so I have more because that they're very like it just is what it is. You know, you're named after your situation, where like literally where you're situated. So, I have some examples of. I was trying to figure out why this name Hernschmeyer is spelled the way it's spelled.
Mm-hmm.
So it is HOERNSCH Meyer. The SCH, I was trying to figure out what that was because Hern in German is a word. Meyer means something. Usually it's a last name. But I was like, what's the sh? Where did the sh come from?
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to figure out.
The one mystery syllable.
Yes. So this suffix sh creates the female form of persons or animals. So if you have this suffix attached to family names, in other words, it identifies families or groups of people to produce the female form and especially denotes a wife or a mother or like a feminine neighbor. So if you have like Müller as the family name,
right,
Herr Müller, you would have Müller-sch would be Mrs. Müller.
Oh.
Or if you have...
It wouldn't be Schmueller?
That would be funnier, though.
You just, like, tack it on at the end there?
Right. You should call Germany up and be like, hey, I've got a better idea.
I should call Germany. I'm going to ask Germany something.
Hey, do you have Jackie Chan?
Do you have Jackie Chan? No, he's not here.
Are you sure?
He's not here.
So that's the show.
Yeah.
If you have a neighbor, this is another example. Neighbor in German is Nachbar. So instead of the woman next door, you could say die Nachbarsche, the woman next door.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
I was trying to piece together why this man's last name had this feminine piece to it. And the first part of the name, Hern, it could be to hear or also it's a place in Germany. So if you do H-O-E-R-N, but if you're spelling it, it could be H-O with the umlaut R-N. This is a place in Germany. It's between Luxembourg and Frankfurt. So this is the conclusion I came to. Hernschmeyer could be the head of the household that is the woman from Hern. Does that make any sense?
Maybe because maybe the household was named the woman from Hern.
That's weird.
But like maybe that's just like the name of I don't know. Like a household was somehow named.
I was thinking like there's this place in Germany, Hern. You live in Hern,
right?
But you are the head of the household, but you're a woman,
right?
Because for whatever reason, maybe she was a widow.
Uh-huh.
And so now you're not just the farmer from Hern, you're the woman farmer from Hern.
Maybe that's one of Hunchy's great grandmas.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So
I don't know. I love calling him Hunchy. That's a great name.
Hunchy's great.
I really hope he continued to go by Hunchy in his personal life after he retired from athletics. Hunchy, by the way, I'm on his Wikipedia. So he had a nice career with the Detroit Lions as a running back. I think he was playing quarterback in this game. I don't know. It's kind of unclear. The post-game recap said that he was playing quarterback, but maybe he switched. But he passes as a... Oh, my God. I don't know. 40s football is so stupid. It's just so hard to, equate things. Because... if you played halfback at the time, you could also throw the ball because they weren't totally sure which position in the backfield was going to be responsible for throwing the ball most of the time. Like, they thought it would probably be the quarterback, but sometimes you'd have the halfback throw the ball as a means of, maybe tricking the other team. I don't know. Feel free to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, because I definitely don't.
This sport is so confusing, even in the freaking 40s.
That's why it's fun.
I can't with it.
Hunchy, though, for what it's worth, when the All-America Football Conference folded, after I think the 1949 season, he had the league record for total offense in terms of rushing and passing. So that's interesting. But I mean, he did throw for a lot of. So I don't know. He was a running back. He threw the ball. The football in the 50s was unrecognizable to what we know it as today. So I genuinely have no idea. If there's something that we need to understand about Hunchy and what he did on the field, let us know. But he had a pretty successful career with the Lions. He won 2 NFL championships. This was pre-Super Bowl, before they called it the Super Bowl. And he was named to the Pro Bowl twice. So not too bad of a career for old Hunchy. Anyway, thanks, Ava. Do you have any other research to share?
You're welcome.
Did you figure out Bob Dove, Bob Dove situation?
That was my last assignment, and I gotta tell you, I didn't really find anything to that.
Yeah.
What I did find, however, was that he was born on February 21st, 1921, and by certain accounts, that man's a Pisces.
And what does that tell us?
You know, they say that Pisces is a water sign. Very emotional.
Yeah.
Very deep.
Right.
So, do with that what you will. I won't turn this into an astrology podcast, but I thought I would share that because it came up.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, you totally could have taken that and ran with it there, and I wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. So thanks for showing some restraint.
Yes, I'm not having mercy on you. But I did find, so one of the things that I was like, oh my gosh, he joined Youngstown State University staff in 1969, where he served as an assistant under 4 coaches, including Jim Tressel.
Mr. Jim Tressel.
Jim Tressel!
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked too much about him in our previous podcast, but y'all,
I don't think so.
His brother was my swim coach.
Yeah. No, Ava grew up in Berea, which I think we did talk about, the fact that you grew up in Berea.
Yes.
The Tressels are like royalty in Berea. That's where they're from. That is where they're from, right?
I believe so,
yeah. They all went to Baldwin Wallace, which is like a small private liberal arts school in Berea, where I went too, actually. Jim Tressel, I think, coached there. Jim Tressel, obviously being the national championship winning former head coach of the Ohio State University. I love that you joined in on that. But yeah, his brother Dave, I've met a few times. He was Ava's swim coach. I think he coaches at BW now. I think he works at BW.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
cool.
He used to come into the coffee shop where we worked and
very cool. Yeah,
give you weird
legends.
looks when you didn't recognize him immediately. He really does look just like his brother, though. For
Seriously.
a second when I met him, I was like, oh,
I thought
that's
they were
who
the
this
same
is.
person for a long time.
Because he didn't tell me who he was. My boss had to tell me who he was. But then it clicked, because, I mean, he really does look just like Jim Tressel.
Seriously.
So
I thought that was fun. That was just a fun little piece that I found. But nothing about Grandpappy, the nickname for Bob Dove.
Yeah, so just to kind of give some context, Bob Dove's nickname, and Bob Dove was a player on the Rockets at the time, his nickname was Grandpappy. And we don't know why, and it's kind of a funny nickname to give to, like, a young, athletic man. So I just thought it would be, like, definitely not a nickname that you would hear in, like, pro sports now. Definitely like a very 40s thing to call somebody.
For sure. I did find that he was also referred to by his friends as Dover.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
But
you don't really need to do research to figure out where that one came from.
No. Yeah. But what I did find, because I was really upset that I couldn't find any information on why we call this man Grandpappy, I was just kind of chuckling to myself at the name Grandpappy. Like, that's just kind of funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
So what I do have for us is an extensive list of general weird grandparent names that I found on Reddit and various sources.
Okay.
If you want to go through these with me, because some of them are really weird.
Absolutely.
Okay, so kicking us off is a nickname for someone's grandma, Bumpo. Thoughts?
Wow.
Yep. And a lot of these are just like, my child said this and I can't get them to not say it anymore. So this is their name now.
My child started calling me Hunchy and I just can't get them to not say it anymore.
Oh my gosh, I have to say, I think I've told you this before, but friend of a friend, acquaintance of a friend, through the grapevine, I don't even know, someone I knew growing up, vaguely, called their grandparent Gimpy.
Yeah.
And
You've told me this before.
I was
it's not a
beside myself.
That's insane
because
to think about.
I don't think they understood what they were saying to this poor woman. I genuinely, because I'm going through all of these names that I have listed. Like, I read a lot of names and I picked my favorite, but there were a couple that I saw that were similar to Gimpy. And it's just kids will say things even if they don't understand what they're saying, and it just sometimes it unfortunately sticks. So
Gimpy.
That
is really, really unfortunate.
It's wretched.
That's still something. So
it's horrible.
To kind of veer back into sports talk for a second, that's something that TV announcers will say during a game, especially in football. Oh, he got up looking a little gimpy there.
Oh,
like,
no.
Stop using that word.
Oh, no.
That's not even, like, I don't know if that's, like, an offensive word by any standards.
It just
but,
sounds
like,
mean.
It just sounds like, don't say that. It's just a gross word.
No, I don't like
Let's
it.
just forget that word ever even existed.
Yeah.
Bad word. Anyway, yeah, any other grandparent names you want to share?
All right, so we've got Bumpo. And then who else to accommodate or accompany Bumpo than Bingo? Grandpa.
Bumpo and Bingo? Is that the pair? You can't have Bumpo without Bingo?
There's another pair I have in here.
Okay.
Lolly and Pop.
I
saw a lot of Lolly and Pops out there. There's a ton of Lollies and Pops out there.
Did you look them up in, like, a grandparent database or something?
No, but, like, there are so many people who have said that their grandparents are named Lolly and Pop.
like on Reddit.
Yes. These are all from Reddit,
okay.
Everyone. Okay.
Lolly and Pop. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's too cute. That's too overly cute.
It's crazy.
I think.
Another one I found, someone child couldn't say grandpa, so it kind of came out as crappa, and then they ended up just calling him crap.
Crap?
Crap. For a while.
Oh,
yeah.
that's worse than Gimpy, I think.
Is it worse than Poopaw?
No. Didn't have to think about that one too hard. No. No, it is not.
We've got another one. This was for someone's grandpa. Grape.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of cute.
I don't hate that. Although, like, if your grandpa lives to a pretty old age and, like, you're out with him somewhere when you're a little bit older, like, why are you calling that other grown man Grape?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing I was curious, like, how stuck are these nicknames? Are we talking about, like, your toddler's still saying this? Are they in their teens?
Right.
Yes. So,
no, that
I don't know about that
important.
one. Someone else said, my older sister couldn't say grandma when she was little, so it evolved into ging ging, and finally kinky by the time I was born. Kinky was established grandma name, and nobody stopped us. I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, that's
really
fun.
funny. And nobody, you could tell that individual really, really, really regrets it.
Why did you let us do that?
They probably had a weird day at school one day. I'm going to my kinky's house later. You're what? What did you just say?
It's amazing. We can table that one.
Yeah,
we'll keep that one.
Yeah, maybe if our parents ever need things to be called.
Yeah.
I had it easy. I had French grandparents and American grandparents, and so the French ones wanted to be called French things. They weren't really French. They were just kind of like culturally French Canadian, and so it was kind of But I don't know, because everybody has different names for separate sets of grandparents. Comment below what you called your grandparents. If you called them anything funny. If you called them Grandpappy.
Yeah.
I would love to know.
So
if you knew Bob Dove and knew why he was called that, let us know.
So you called your grandparents. Did you already say it?
Oh, no, yeah. So the French grandparent name for grandparents is Meme and Pepe. And that's what I called my mom's parents. And my dad's parents were just grandma and grandpa, just normal.
Yeah, I was just grandma and grandpa for everyone, except for my grandparents who didn't live in Ohio, because I have two grandparents that lived in Michigan. They were grandma and grandpa Michigan, which I didn't know as a kid. It does make sense, but I didn't really put it together for a very long time that, like, that wasn't their name. But in my young brain, that was their name. It was Grandpa Michigan, Grandma Michigan.
Yeah.
And
right. That's just what you call them.
I found someone else who said the same thing, and I've never this was the only person on Reddit who mentioned something similar. Their kids called their parents Red House and Black House. And it took them a really long time to understand it was because of the color of the shutters on their house.
Oh.
So I thought that was kind of cute. And
That's
it made me think of my grandma and grandpa in Michigan.
Yeah, I like the idea of, like, the name kind of evolving organically. Like, even though Gimpy and Kinky are awful, like, at least they were, like, decided by the kids themselves. And I think that's, like, a really pure and fun way to do it. I also want to be clear so nobody, like, actuallys me. I know that Meme and Pepe is not the way that you say grandma and grandpa in French. That's just what I called them because it was, like, some kind of Americanized, like, French hybrid. And that's just the words I was taught to say, so...
we're keeping it correct here.
Don't blame me, blame them. I think you're the one who told me that at first. You're like, wait, didn't you call them this and that? I forget how exactly you say grandma in French.
Grandma?
Yeah.
I mean, French is grand-mère, I think. So it would be like...
Right, grand-mère. Yeah.
I mean, Meme makes sense.
It does?
Pepe makes sense.
Oh,
Grand-mère
wow.
and grand-père. Pepe.
Pepe?
Meme, Pepe.
Right, but it was spelled like Memere. Memere.
Memère.
Oh, in Pépère.
Pépère.
Which is not, like, I would say Meme and Pepe, because I'm not French.
It sounds
Thank
right.
God.
It's... We're kidding.
We love the French.
No, I don't know.
But yeah. Anyway.
I am not the person to ask necessarily. I think it sounds good. I think it's cute.
Yeah, it was good. It served its purpose for what it was. It was kind of fun. Anyway,
I've got a couple more if you want them.
Yeah, go for it.
Just a couple more. Okay.
Yeah.
We've got Bam.
Bam.
That's for your grandma. Bam.
Bam.
Yep.
That's grandma. Okay,
Bam.
what's grandpa?
Nothing to accompany that. But what would you if we had one of our parents, your mom or my mom, we went with Bam? What would accompany Bam?
Boom. Bam and boom.
You heard that?
I think sounds right.
Bam and boom. Get ready.
It just kind of like it sort of connected and it was like, yeah, obviously, boom.
Oh my goodness.
Obviously, boom.
There were a lot of similarly paired names. It's pretty interesting the things that people come up with.
Yeah.
But one of my favorites that we have on here is Grandma Bologna Sausage.
Huh?
Grandma Bologna Sausage.
How did she get that name?
They said, quote, I have absolutely no idea where it came from, and she's not Italian.
I don't know, like, is bologna a type of sausage? I think it is, right?
I think it qualifies.
Yeah, it's just like really big sausage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And that could be Grandpa. Big sausage.
All right, we're moving on. In the news. Thank you, Ava. In the news.
Anytime.
Not really a whole lot to mention here. Everybody, round of applause for Ava, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ava. Not really a whole lot to mention here as far as news articles go. Not nearly as much as last time. Like I said earlier, the papers kind of praised the Rockets pregame. They were the favorite. They had a crowd. They were called the much publicized Rockets, which probably was a result of them trying to sign away all the Bears' best players unsuccessfully. Anyway, the Rockets were publicity seekers prior to the season. This was their first game. That's probably why they drew so many people. Didn't maintain that level of crowd support, though, unfortunately, for them. So it makes sense that they had a bit of a reputation with the whole Bears incident and everything like that. So that was really as much as I could find from this game in the news. A pretty normal game. Another Friday game, which is kind of worth mentioning because, we think of the NFL as, like, never, ever, ever being played on Fridays. At least not regularly. We have Friday games now because the NFL likes to seep it into every single corner of our television viewing schedules during a certain time of year. But that was not a normal thing. And I know we're also not talking about the NFL. We're talking about a totally different league, but professional football in general is seen as a Sunday thing. And that segs us perfectly into the next game, which does take place on a Sunday. Our first Sunday Browns game.
Tell us.
Sunday, September 22nd, 1946, in Buffalo, at the Buffalo Bisons. So, that'll be episode 3.
Can't wait.
And we'll see you then.